Good morning to you all. Respected Principal, Sainik School Bijapur, Group Captain Pratibha Bist, Deputy Commissioner Vijayapura, Shri Vijay Mantesh, as he will be arriving in few minutes, distinguished guests, eminent speakers, fellow seekers of knowledge, I, Cadet Karthik, extend a resounding welcome to the TEDx event hosted by Sainik School Bijapur, that is Abhivyakti. Today, we gather here with hearts brimming with anticipation and minds open to the power of ideas. It's a privilege to stand before you as your host, guiding you through this captivating journey of inspiration, that is Abhivyakti, create, inspire, and express. Year 2023 is a momentous year for Sainik School Bijapur as school is celebrating its 60th foundation day. And as a part of Diamond Jubilee celebration, school has organized its very first TEDx Youth event. Indeed, it has become the first school to organize a TEDx talk. In the spirit of TED's mission to spread ideas worth sharing, we have assembled a remarkable lineup of speakers who will ignite your imagination, challenge your perspectives, and curiosity within your souls. May your minds be enlightened, your hearts be inspired, and may this TEDx event be an unforgettable catalyst for the change, growth, and boundless possibilities. Let me first tell you what the TED event is. TED stands for Technology, Entertainment, and Design. Imagine a day filled with brilliant speakers, thought-provoking ideas, and mind-blowing conversation. TED is more than just a series of events. It's a global movement that has changed the perspectives of the world. It has created a platform where the extraordinary meets the ordinary. The power of TED lies in its ability to inspire, express, and connect the people from all the corners of the world. So, let us embrace this powerful platform, harness the ideas that emerge, work together to create a future that is more inclusive and innovative. So, let me walk into the event with the official video of TED.com.
Special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show. Well,
We are thrilled to introduce the theme of this event, which is Abhivyakti, the power of self-expression. Abhivyakti, a profound concept of self-expression, that is, manifestation, as it means to express oneself, their emotions, ideas, or any other in any other form of artwork such as speech, writing. With the theme Create, Inspire, and Express, Abhivyakti plays a crucial role in personal growth and development, in allowing individuals to explore and express themselves in an authentic way. Once upon a time in a world where self-expression was encouraged, a young artist named Kirti had a passion for painting but hesitant to share her artwork with others due to fear of being judged. One day, she took a leap of faith and shared her artwork. To her surprise, people connected deeply with her painting. finding solace and inspiration in a unique perspective. Kirti's art of Abhivyakti not only allowed her to express herself fully, but also ignited a spark in others. People discovered the power of own voice and found personal fulfillment in sharing stories and ideas. Today, we gather here to honor the spirit of Abhivyakti. Let us celebrate the speakers who will grace this stage as they express themselves. Today, let us embrace our own Abhivyakti and create a world where every individual's voice is heard and cherished. Let me now introduce our first esteemed speaker. He is a man with wings of expertise and heart filled with passion. He has conquered the skies, leaving a trail of inspiration in his wake. Born in Gorur, Hassan district of Karnataka, after all, an alumnus of Sainik School Bijapur. And alumnus of National Defense Academy, he was commissioned in the Indian Army in 1971. He was also the first officer who was commissioned in the armed forces from Sainik School Bijapur. Recipient of Rolex Award in 1996 for his innovative methods in establishing an ecological sericulture farm. An awardee of Karnataka Rajyotsava Award in 2005, and he was knighted with Chevalier de la Legion honor by France in 2007. Author of the book Simply Fly, A Deccan Odyssey, director Sudha Kongara was inspired by the events of his life and filmed with the name Sorarai Putru, founder of Air Deccan, India's low-cost airlines set up in 2003. I take this opportunity to invite Captain G.R. Gopinath on stage. Give him a resounding welcome.
ಫುಲ್ ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ?
हरिराम जी, चिट्ठी
खोल के पढ़ो तो भैया।
दिल्ली से है, बेटे की। अरे ये तो प्लेन का टिकट है।
हाँ?
अरे सुनो रे, प्लेन का टिकट भेजा है हरिराम के बेटे ने।
क्या ढूंढ रहा है तू?
ये
या ये?
हवाई जहाज में दो तरह के बैगेज होते हैं, एक चेक्ड इन, एक हैंड बैगेज। इसको तुम हैंड बैगेज की तरह ले जा सकते हो।
millions of Indians, flying is no longer a dream. Air Deccan.
Group Captain Pratibha Best, respected teachers, administrative staff, and young students. First, I would like to thank Karthik for this brilliant introduction and setting the atmosphere and setting the stage on fire. That film that you saw was inspired by my own life, in the sense that that school that you saw there, that village school, was the kind of school I went to. I went to a school, a small remote village called Hassan. I went barefoot to a school. I sat on the ground like many of the other students. My father was a teacher in the local school, and he never put me to school till my 5th standard, because he said, the school is anyway a kind of prison, so I'll teach you at home. And he taught me much more than what I could learn in the school. Like Mark Twain said, education is what you remember after you forget whatever you have learned. I'm sure that holds good for all of you. You're learning a lot of things, subjects. You may forget your physics or history or geography, but the values that your teachers imbibe in you, they are more aristocratic than all the wealth that you may acquire. So my father took me to the river to teach me swimming. He took me to the fields, and he showed me the Dalits who were working in the fields there. And like most teachers who were not well paid in those days, they were called Bada Maestro. His salary was, I remember, was about 120 rupees. He was a high school headmaster. And that was his salary that he was getting. But his values were very aristocratic. And those values will never change. Your subjects may change, your careers may change, those values will not change. So in that sense, I was not poor like the laborers, but we were poor in the sense that we didn't have enough resources. My father had 8 children. He was always struggling to make his ends meet. And in that sense, there was poverty, but it was full of sunlight because there was no envy. He never showed me the village sahukar, the village rich man, but he showed me the Dalit. So I never envied what I did not have, and I always counted my blessings. So the first day I went to school was in my 5th standard, and I never felt that I had not been to school. It was a village school, and I did well in school. And one day the headmaster of the school, Mr. Nanjundaya, I still remember the date, he came and said, anybody wants to apply for the military school? Because they called it a military school. And I did not know what a military school was. Even today in villages, you find in Karnataka, rural Karnataka, military school. Means so my father said they eat non-vegetarian there, because in the army they feed non-vegetarian food. So you go and join, you'll become strong, because there's this thin, weak boy bullied by older students. So I lifted my hand, just out of a dream, leave the village. There's a very famous poem of Puthi Narasimhachar, most of you are Kannada speaking, called Gudiyache, Gidadache, Gadiyache, Hogona Bandiro Hosanadige. Beyond the woods, beyond the temples, beyond the borders, let's go and discover new lands. So in that spirit, I wanted to leave the village. But to discover new lands, you have to leave the shore for the long time. You cannot be on the shore. The ship is built not to be on the shore. It is safest there. But if you want to discover, you have to leave the shore for a long time, to be away from your house, away from your comfort zone. And I went to Hassan in the KSRTC bus. And there was a private bus. There were only 2 buses. And the exam was in the government middle school there. And I came back full of tears because it was in English medium and I had studied in Kannada medium. And I came back and told the headmaster that I could not answer anything, especially the science papers and the history papers. It's all in English. So, and he said, don't cry. You get nothing out of crying. Then after 3 months again he came and he said, Gopi, he told me that he sent a postcard sitting in that village to the Ministry of Defense saying that how can you equate English with intelligence? English is another language. If you want children from rural Karnataka, give them an exam in Kannada. So somebody sitting in Delhi Ministry of Defense saw that postcard written by a village teacher, which had just put it in that local post box, and it was the answer. That was my first intimations of not to take things for granted. This headmaster taught me the lesson of life. Do not take anything for granted that you have long held it as your belief, long held it as your philosophy or as your way of life. Do not accept things that you have always held it as sacred. Always, as Bertrand Russell said, it's good to always hang a question mark that you long held as just your sacred belief. So I went a second time, and this time I passed. But the thing that I noticed was that there were nobody in the exam hall. There were hardly 3-4. So in Kannada there's a problem, Halurge Uludavane Gauda. So since nobody wanted to join the school, probably I got selected. May not be because of my intelligence. So I came back, and Lieutenant Colonel Malik, whose name I saw today on the board of the principal here, it was in 1963, he was the principal only for 3 months. He came all the way to Hassan and he interviewed me. I still remember I was barefoot, I went there and somebody in my school said, salute him. So I went and gave him a salute and I spoke with confidence. He spoke in English, I spoke in Kannada. The deputy commissioner translated it and I got selected. And my mind goes back, and my father brought me in the same train that I came day before yesterday evening, or yesterday morning, the Gumbas Express. He came to Hassan at 11 o'clock. We took the train in Arsikere, and he brought me here and put me to the Sainik school, Bijapur, of which I was so fortunate and changed my life. We were then in the Vijaya College. We were in tents that time. We were only 8 people in our school class. There were 13, then it became 8. And that 8 continued until I joined NDA. I say some of these things to convey to you that it is not the buildings. You've got the most fabulous buildings. I've been to many public schools, including not only the National Defense Academy, public schools here and abroad. You may have the most magnificent palaces, but ultimately, as Karthik said, it is your mind, it is your heart, and the combination of those two which they must resonate together to conquer the world. They conquer the world who believe they can conquer. So it is not enough to have resources. In fact, huge resources are a big handicap, big detriment to achieve success. Low resources, always. Less resources, lack of resources, and high aspirations, high dreams is the best combination for achieving success. So whether it's in school, either as students, or tomorrow when you join any force, the Army, Navy, Air Force, or any of your jobs, never complain about resources. Never complain about resources. Because the greatest of discoveries, the greatest of adventurers throughout history have conquered the world with their dreams. It is Goethe who said, dare to dream and begin it. Dare to dream and begin it. Boldness has genius, magic, and power to it. But you can't just be a dreamer. You cannot make dreams your master. Your dream has to be combined with venture. It has to be combined with adventure. And it has to be combined with action. But most of us dream but do not do. If you have the latter but not the former, if you have the dreaming but not the doing, all your talent of no use. If you want to embark on any journey, you have to begin it. Like Confucius said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So take that first step. Don't remain dreaming. So Columbus, as it is well known, he discovered India because he dreamt when he was standing on the shores of Portugal. He was married to a Portuguese woman, and he saw the land beyond him, the sea beyond him, and he felt that if the sea is extending in front of me and the earth is flat, because earth was known to be flat, then there must be land on the other side of the sea. So he went and asked the Italian king, this is my dream, I want to discover India, there's gold there, there's spices there, gave me funds. The Italian kings did not believe in his ideas, did not believe in his dreams. So he went to the Spanish kings, and the Spanish kings gave him the money. In a sense, the Spanish kings became the first venture capitalists who funded an idea like the today you're every day reading in the paper, somebody is starting a company and they're getting venture capital equity. So Spanish kings gave money, which the Italian kings did not, and he went in an undecked boat, a boat which was a simple boat with no technology, no steam engine, just ordinary sails, and with the undecked boat, but grit and determination and full of optimism, he set forth and discovered, instead of discovering India, he discovered the West Indies. And then the history of the world changed. The history of that one discovery changed the history of the world, because the Spanish Armada became the most powerful navy, then the Portuguese navy, then the navy of UK. They conquered and colonized the rest of the world, including India. So it is the power of the idea, it is the power of the dream, and more important than that, the commitment to the dream. So anybody who wants to achieve anything, either to join the army, the Air Force and Navy, which many of you have joined this school for, or to become a researcher, a philosopher, a musician, a sportsman, you have to be obsessed with your dream. In a very Vedantic way, you and your dream must become one. There cannot be a duality or a separation. When the dream becomes you and you become the dream, and you are possessed of the dream, then you possess the dream, then you achieve things. It is true today, it was true yesterday, and it's true tomorrow. Your energy, your passion, your commitment is more important than capital. Capital will flow like the river to the sea if you have the right idea and if you have the commitment and passion. The reason I'm saying this is a lot of times people who do not succeed, who fail in their exam, who do not get a job, always complain. The complaint is, I do not have political connections, I do not have money, my father is not rich, therefore I'm not getting a job. Therefore I'm not getting what I set out for. I think that is cynicism. Cynicism is not believing in anything. A person who has a magnanimous heart will say, yes, there is corruption. Purandaradasa said 1,000 years ago, Satyavantarige idu kalavalla. This is not the age for honest people. So there have always been corrupt people. There have always been dishonest people. There have always been people who knew the king, who knew the prime minister, who knew your MLA. But there are always more number of people who achieve things because they do not give up. So, in addition to dreaming, in addition to following your dreams, what is required is persistence. What they call as hatha, chal. Your talent and your gifts are there. Everybody is gifted in something. Somebody is gifted in playing a violin, somebody is gifted in mathematics. That you can't be arrogant about it. It is a gift that you have received because of nature. But what gets you across is persistence. Persistence and persistence alone is what will get you success, and not just talent or resources or your good schooling. Because Thomas Alva Edison, there is a famous saying that they asked him, you failed 10,000 times to discover the bulb. He said, no, I did not fail 10,000 times. I tried 10,000 ways and discovered 10,000 ways in which it does not work. And I succeeded the 10,000 first time. So you're a failure only when you quit. Just remember this. You are not a failure till you stop trying. And the surest way to success is to try one more time. And I remember once when K.D. Singh, in one of the school functions, parades, he said, today I'm going to give a secret. All of us were thinking, what is this magic formula he's going to give for success? And he said only 2 words, hard work. And that has not changed. Artificial intelligence may come, computers may come, internet may come. You may achieve more degrees, more wealth. None of them are permanent. What stays with you, your ability to have iron labor. There is no way that has been found, even for a genius, to achieve success. There is no shortcut to success. Last, I would like to tell you that you need to be having 2, 3 other qualities to have a good life, which is a worthy life, to become a worthy Ajit. You are going to make money, many of you, you're going to make success in life, you'll achieve fame. Just remember the roots that you came in. Remember the people who are less fortunate than you. This wealth that comes is a fickle wealth. They say in English, a famous proverb, fortune is a fickle whore. She's like a prostitute. She comes where there is money, where there is luck, but all of it can disappear overnight. In my own life I've seen it. I've seen it in the life of many rich people I've met. Today he is rich, next day he is on the streets. But what will stay with you is your compassion for your fellow beings, the ability to help people who are less fortunate than you, and your spirit not to give up under any circumstances. So the simple secret for life, along with hard work, is continued enthusiasm. Regardless of the circumstances, you must always be enthusiasm. That is the wisdom of all life. Enthusiasm every day. Next, you have to be optimistic. A person who is not an optimist cannot be a great entrepreneur. He cannot achieve anything if you do not believe, like the farmer who does not disbelieve that if he sows the seed will not sprout. He has had bad crop last year, floods last year, drought last year, but he does not disbelieve. He gets up in the morning with his wife, takes the bullocks with the plow, goes to the field, plows the seed. He does not disbelieve the seed will not sprout. He does not disbelieve it will not rain. He doesn't believe that it's going to flood tomorrow, so I'll sit at home. He'll go and sow the seeds, and the sun will rise. As sure as his belief, the sun will rise, and tomorrow will be a better day. So you need to be an optimist. If you want certainty, that I want everything to be certain, you cannot be a great entrepreneur. You have to believe that things will mend if you work hard. You have to believe that there are good people in this world. So that requires a magnanimity of heart, a magnanimity of spirit to allow other ideas to come in, to admire good people, admire great scientists. We have great C.V. Raman, who got the Nobel Prize in India in the 1930s with no equipment. Galileo discovered the new world with just an ordinary opera telescope. He did not have all this technology. So you have to believe that good things will happen if you are good to yourself and to others. And the last thing I want to say, it is always said the golden age for India is behind us. Of course, we had a golden age. We had the Mahabharata, which is probably mythological based on historical drama. We had the Upanishads, which is the greatest spiritual quest of this world. Why the Upanishads are held by the whole world as a mirror is because it is a discovery of the universe. It is not giving you answers. You must be more comfortable with questions than answers. Anybody who gives you an answer, always do not take it for granted. So the Upanishads is a discovery of the universe. So the golden age for India, it was there. We had brass, we had iron castings, we had copper smelting, we discovered the zero. But today there is huge poverty. Today, that India, that golden age is gone. You can be proud of it. But the golden age for India is ahead of us and not behind us. Thank you. Okay.
We extend our deepest appreciation to Captain G.R. Gopinath for his enlightening talk. The passion and enthusiasm with which he shared his expertise has left a lasting impression on all of us. Thank you, sir, for broadening our understanding and inspiring us to think differently. Due to professional commitment, Ms. Rajeshwari Gayakwad will not be able to join us today. So, moving on to our next speaker, please direct your attention to an individual who stands before us today. A cadet of grade 11th has achieved a remarkable feat. As CBSE Class 10 topper, he has shown his dedication towards his studies, but his talents extend beyond the classroom. He possesses a gift of captivating audience with his skillful debating and oratory skills. His ability to articulate ideas and engaging in thoughtful discussions is truly commendable. He excels as a sportsman, as a dexterous hockey player, displaying great discipline, teamwork, and competitive spirits stands as a testament to his dedication and passion for physical excellence. I may now invite Cadet Kirtan on stage to enlighten us with his insights and expertise. Give him a thunderous round.
Have you ever heard of these names? Warren De La Rue, Humphrey Davy, or Joseph Swan? Except for the physics enthusiasts sitting in this auditorium, I think that no one else has ever heard of these names. For your information, these are the names of the scientists that invented the light bulb before Thomas Alva Edison. But they couldn't tell it to the world. Why? What is the reason that we only know Thomas Alva Edison as the inventor of electric bulb? The answer is quite simple. Thomas Alva Edison could express himself more clearly than other three scientists. He could tell to the world, in the simplest of the words, about what is an electric bulb. So, is the power of expression everything we need to be successful in our life? Hello and good morning. I'm Kirtan Rathod, 16-year-old studying at the organizing school, Sainik School, Bijapur, here to speak about the power of words and the power of expression. So what is expression? Expression is quite simple. It's nothing but just telling the world what's present in your mind. Expression is very integral in our life. Expression is integral in our life. It's ingrained into most of the activities that we do in our daily life. Be it complimenting the chef that made you the food, be it complimenting the speaker that spoke at your assembly, and many more. These expressions are carried by the words. Words are the carriers of expression. Words flow out of your mouth. Words are so beautiful and they're so powerful. And they're all around us. Our ancestors have told us it's very important for us to know the surroundings, to know the things that surround us. So, it's important for us to know the potential that words hold within themselves. So, what is the potential of words? What potential do the words have? Words can almost do anything, from starting a war to ending a war and bridging gaps. They can almost create new worlds and destroy the old worlds. But still, many of us have not harnessed the power that words hold within themselves. Many of us have not mastered that art of speaking, mastered that art of communication. Why is it so? This answer is the most burning hot question. So, what can we do in order to bring a change in the way we speak? How can we avoid being so boring? How can we be more enthusiastic about the topic that we are trying to speak? For that, I want you all to perform a small activity and realize the power of expression and communication. Ladies and gentlemen, close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world without words. A world devoid of the beautiful symphony of language, where thoughts remain trapped inside the minds of the person, unable to bridge the gap between the souls. It's a world stripped of connection, inspiration, and emotion. It's a world where the ends do not meet. Now, let's open our eyes and embark on a journey to discover the transformation that the power of words and the art of expression can do. Hoping that you imagine the world where there are no words, I want you to draw the similarities between your world and my world. But for that, I will tell what happened in my imaginary world. In my imaginary world, there were people just like you and me who could not speak at all. And there were chaos. Why were there chaos? People could not tell to each other what they felt. They could not tell their emotions. They could not tell their thoughts. They could not tell their ideas to the person in front of them. They were becoming the prisoners of their own mind. Being the prisoner of your own mind is nothing but killing your creativity, killing your personality. So, how can we avoid being the prisoner of your own mind and escape from that treacherous prison? The answer is quite simple. Express yourselves more clearly. Use the power that God has given you. The power of imagination, the power of expression, and the power of inspiring others. When we start expressing ourselves more clearly, the society will start to accept us slowly. When you feel happy, you jump with joy or smile with glee. When you feel sad, you want to cry or be alone. When you hear a joke, you laugh out too loud. That word, too loud, is the problem. You start to face judgments by other people. These are the barriers between you and the entire world. This brings the problem in you. You start to fear from the society. You think, how will people judge me if I do this? How will people judge me if I do that? That needs to be avoided. When we express freely, we open our mind and soul to the entire world. We become comfortable with ourselves as well as others. But when we're afraid and we are not ready to express ourselves clearly, we are not we are not clear when we are trying to tell something, this leads to judgments. You're unclear. You're not sure about what you're trying to speak. This leads to judgments. Let's learn from a small child. A small child is not at all worried about what the people are going to tell. It's not afraid of being judged. A child expresses himself so clearly. The expression of a child is universal. When he cries, all the people come to console him. But as we grow old, this ability reduces. This depletes in our mind. As we grow, we need to grow that potential. We need to be, less afraid of the people that are around us. But the opposite happens. There is a term called retrogressive metamorphosis in biology, where an organism goes from the developed stage to a primitive stage. The same thing happens here. When we are a baby, or a kid, we are not afraid of the people that surround us. We are not afraid to be judged. But as we grow up, we start to fear from the society. What will people say if I do this? How will people react if I laugh out too loud? If I cry a lot? This needs to be avoided. How can we avoid it? There is no way to avoid it, some people may say, but I have found a solution. This solution is going to revolutionize lives. The answer is you need to take initiative. Whenever your teacher calls to do a speech in the class, you need to be the first one to raise the hands. Whenever your principal tells you to do a speech, you need to be the first one to go on the stage and speak. By this, you're coming out of the shell. You are escaping from that prison which I mentioned earlier. This escape from the prison is going to reward you with a lot of success. But we hold on to ourselves. Still we think, what will society say? So, from all this, we can gather that society is the main barrier between your expression, your thoughts, and the outside world. So, what can we do? We usually try to hide our true self and put up a face to the society that will please them. But we don't realize that the opposite person is also thinking the same. He is also afraid of us. He is afraid that how are we going to judge him? He is not going to analyze our thoughts and analyze our actions. We need to realize this and take our next step. Now let's look at a few examples where people have done the same thing. Let's look at the example of Malala Yousafzai, a young Pakistani activist who was oppressed by the Taliban regime. Words have been the catalyst of change for Malala Yousafzai. She was able to revolutionize the life of thousands of girls in Pakistan and free them from the oppression of the Taliban. Words have been the catalyst of change in the history too. Let's take the example of Martin Luther King Jr., who shook the foundations of racial injustice. Then we have Nelson Mandela, who was a visionary leader, who harnessed the power of words to change an entire system, the system of apartheid. In the realm of human existence, words hold an extraordinary ability to shape the life. They possess the power to transcend space and time, which transcend the barriers of culture, religion, and language. With a single word, we can kill someone or we can save someone. We can ignite the flames of passion, heal the deepest of wounds, and kindle the sparks of revolution. But my friends, excess of anything is bad. With power comes great responsibility, they say. So the impact of words stretches beyond the individual lives. They can either uplift or demean. They can build bridges or erect barriers. A single word of encouragement might save someone's life, might send someone to greater heights. But bullying someone is going to send them deep into the depression that they are in. A kind gesture might have the power to save someone's day, but a mean thing can destroy someone's day. But to restore the faith in humanity, the words need to be used effectively. What I want to say is that God has indiscriminately given us the most powerful instrument that we all use in our daily lives, words. But the one who masters it gets to taste the sweetness of success in his life. To conclude, I would like to quote a Sufi proverb. In the desert, no one shall tell you not to eat stones. In the same way, in your life, no one will tell you to do this or to do that. You are the only one who is going to make the decisions, and you are the only one who is going to be successful in your own life. Thank you all.
Heartfelt thank you to Kirtan for his remarkable presentation. Your ability to communicate complex ideas in a relatable manner is worth appreciating. We also appreciate the time and effort you have invested in preparing for his TED Talk and sharing your thoughts with us. Let's move on to our next speaker. It's my honor to talk about him. An alumnus of Sainik School Bijapur and the prestigious National Defense Academy, he was commissioned in the Indian Navy in July 1986. In his 36-year career, he has had extensive experience in maritime operations, training, academics, leadership, diplomacy, mentoring, and communication. He has been captain of 2 frontline ships, an anti-submarine frigate, INS Vindhyagiri, and also India's only landing platform dock, INS Jaleshwa. He has been a lead writer and chief editor of 12 books or monographs and also journals of Indian Navy. He has a PhD from Mumbai University apart from 5 postgraduate degrees in science and social science. At last, he was conferred the Vishish Seva Medal in the Presidential Awards in 2021 for distinguished service of high order. Today, we have the privilege of having Commodore Dr. Srikant B. Kesno gracing our presence with his wealth of knowledge, exceptional leadership, and dedication. Please join me in giving a magnanimous welcome to Commodore Dr. Srikant B. Kesno.
Can hear me at the back? Okay. Right. Greetings to you all. Particularly today, my friends, on the occasion of Guru Purnima. What a splendid occasion it is to be here in the school, my alma mater. 47 years ago, exactly on this day, I joined the school. At that time, I had no idea that few years down the line, I'll be joining the National Defense Academy and thereafter spending 36 years in the Navy. But that's not the reason why I'm going to talk to you about the Indian Navy today. You know, navies, they say, are the silent service. They operate beyond the horizons, so we don't know much of what they do. So I'm talking to you about the Indian Navy because I believe it's a story worth telling. It is a wonderful story of how a force that was very small at the dawn of independence has now become one of the biggest and most powerful navies in the world. And how has the Indian Navy done it? But before that, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the maritime canvas. Maritime means that which is associated with the seas and the oceans. Now do remember, India is the only country after which an ocean is named. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is rooted in geography and history. Have a look at our geography. Move away from our land borders and what we call the continental outlook. You will see that India is a maritime nation. The Indian peninsula juts into the Indian Ocean. We have a coastline of more than 11,000 kilometers. We have close to 1,400 islands. We have an exclusive economic zone of 2 million square kilometers, ladies and gentlemen. That's 2/3 of our land area, and that's the future base for sustainable development. We have many states and union territories bordering the sea. So there is certainly a maritime orientation to our geography. What about our history? Our ancients had far greater connection with the seas than perhaps some of us have today. The oldest dock in the world is in Lothal, present-day Gujarat, close to Ahmedabad. Those days, Lothal was close to the inner seas and not in land like now. This is more than 4,000 years ago. Our scriptures contain references to maritime activities. And for 2,000 plus years, India had a long list of empires, actors, people, connecting over the seas and oceans with the word from as far west as Rome and Greece to as far east as Japan and Korea, what we call the Indo-Pacific today. So there were great empires, of course, right from the times of Mauryas, the Guptas, and then all of the southern kingdoms, Kakatiyas, Andhras, Cholas, the great Cholas, Cheras, the Pandyas, the Vijayanagars, all of them had some connect. The Palas of Bengal, all of them had great connect with the sea. And the Kalingas, of course. Now this continued for a long time until we shut our eyes or turned our backs from the seas sometime in the 13th or 14th century. Then you know what happened. 2 centuries later, as Gopi sir said, the colonials came and they conquered us by the seas. That's an important thing to remember. Now cut therefore to today. Today, this geography is still important. The Indian Ocean is the busiest, smallest, but busiest ocean in the world. More than half of the global traffic takes place here. More importantly, more than 90% of India's trade, energy flows through the oceans. And almost 100% of communication, when we communicate to the world, is through undersea cables on the oceans. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the geography and history that informed the Indian Navy's planners when they set. When they set out to make in 1947, as Gopi sir said, limited resources and great vision is the best way to achieve your objectives. That is exactly what the Indian Navy planners had. But they were audacious in their hope. They said, we'll not be a coastal navy like the British wanted us to be. We will have aircraft carriers. We will have submarines. And they set out to build that navy. Now, it is not that the Indian Navy has not been in the forefront of operations. We'll come to that. But how did the Navy do it? How did the Navy achieve the status of becoming a formidable power in 75 years? 3 ways. 1, it built up a good force. Second, it emphasized a great deal on professional training, on the hardware and software aspects of education and training. Third, it absorbed technology and stayed abreast with technology, and we'll talk about that in a bit. So these were the 3 ways in which it set out to do, despite having, like all the armed forces, a very busy operational canvas. What is this busy operational canvas? It started right after independence with Junagadh, October 1947, where the 3 armed forces operated together. Then 1961, liberation of Goa. 1971, the war with Pakistan. The Indian Navy played a magnificent role, opened both the oceans, both the theaters of war. We strangulated East and West Pakistan, and the reason you had more than 90,000 prisoners of war was because of that. Thereafter, whether it's Operation Pavan, 3 long years of that, or Operation Cactus, Maldives, Somalia in the early 90s, more recently when we have had crisis, with Pathankot, Uri, Balakot, Galwan, the Indian Navy has been deployed right at the doorsteps of our antagonists. And this sends a message very clearly. But that's not the only thing that Navy does. Because navies operate in international waters, we also play a big role in diplomacy. When we talk today of neighborhood first or act east, remember that the Indian Navy gives a palpable physical connection when you send a ship there. So when you send a ship to distant waters, flying the Indian flag, showcasing Indian technology, having Indian cosmopolitan people on board, showcasing our culture and cuisine, you are showing both hard power and soft power in all parts of the world. And that is why they say navies or warships are sometimes the best ambassadors of the nation. And we also play a role in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Of course, all three services do that, but because, like I said, the navies operate in international waters, whether it was after the tsunami in 2004, Operation Rahat in Yemen in 2015, more recently Op Kaveri in Sudan. So there are international equities. You are noticed much more because of that. So all of this, an alchemy of all of this, makes the Indian Navy a considerably strong and powerful player. But what about technology? That is what I was telling you earlier. Now, technology, ladies and gentlemen, how the Indian Navy has absorbed or adapted it is by 4 I's. Improvisation, innovation, integration, and above all, indigenization. The Indian Navy has been building ships in India, making in India or make in India or Atmanirbharta has been the cornerstone of Indian Navy strategy right since independence. So in 1960, ladies and gentlemen, we built the first ship, INS Ajay, in 1960. At that time, we hadn't even built the first indigenous car in India. That happened only 30 years down the line. But we made the first ship. And last year, we made India's biggest ship, the biggest ship probably built in India's history, INS Vikrant. Look at this. Building an aircraft carrier is the very holy grail of shipbuilding. So today, you would all feel proud that India is building aircraft carriers, it's building submarines. You will be happy to know that out of the 41 ships that are on order, 39 are being built in India. So imagine what it does in terms of technology. Imagine what it does in terms of encouragement to local industry, medium, small industries. Imagine what it does to the local economy. So all of these are wonderful stories by themselves, you know, and each one of them probably you can write a book about how the Indian Navy set out to do it. But let me illustrate this technology connect between the Navy and the civilian world through the lives of 2 people, or through the achievements of 2 people, if I can call them. One is a gentleman called Commodore Paul Raj, Arogyaswamy Paul Raj, and you can Google about him. Arogyaswamy Paul Raj, ladies and gentlemen, is an ex-NDA, ex-Navy officer who is today a professor emeritus at Stanford University. Okay? He is the founder of what is called MIMO, multiple input, multiple output technology, and this MIMO is the heart of 4G and 5G smartphones. So if today you are able to use smartphones with all these apps, you must thank this Navy officer called Commodore Arogyaswamy Paul Raj. And why is his direct connection to the Navy? His research started in designing indigenous sonars for the Indian Navy after the 71 war. There is another remarkable gentleman called Captain Mohan Ram. He is in Bangalore. Captain Mohan Ram is the person who is responsible for construction of many of these ships. After his retirement, he joined the TVS company. And in TVS, he designed the TVS Scooty. TVS was making losses at that time. He designed the TVS Scooty, turned around the company. So the man who designed some of the best warships, also designed a great public utility two-wheeler. This is the way in which there is osmosis or there is direct transfer of what skills you learn in the armed forces to bringing it to the civilian world outside. And this is the direct contribution, if I may say so, in some ways of Indian Navy to technology. Let us sort of move aside from there to talk about what might have been the ifs of history, because this institutional memory is very, very important. You know, we talked about the colonizers coming here. The city of Bijapur has a very direct connection to India being colonized, perhaps not necessarily in a flattering way. You know, when the Portuguese first came and occupied Goa, that was their first colony, in 1510, Goa was under the Adil Shahis of Bijapur. So when they came and occupied, the Adil Shahi Sultan sent his army and he evicted the Portuguese. So those guys went and waited in their ships at the mouth of Mandavi River in Goa. The Adil Shahis could do nothing about it. When he came back to Bijapur, the Portuguese came, and this time they conquered it in a firmer way and did not give way. And that started colonization in our country. The lesson, ladies and gentlemen, is this, that the Bijapur Sultan had an army that could march 300 kilometers, but they didn't have a navy that could sail for 30 kilometers. If he had had a navy, he would have driven out the Portuguese. It is possible to argue, we don't know, it is possible to argue that there might have been no colonization of India, or we might have sort of delayed it. Now, remember, during the colonial times too, we had great acts of resistance. You had acts of resistance by the famous Kundali Marakkars of the Malabar coast. You had Rani Abbakka of Karnataka, close to Ullal. You had the mighty Marathas fighting the Europeans in the Konkan coast. And then you had the Wadia shipbuilders who built some of the best ships in the world. And then the Royal Indian Navy gave a great account of itself in World War II. Why am I telling you all this? I am telling you all this to suggest that maritime is in our DNA. If anyone tells that it was only the West that was sailing, that so-and-so discovered the world and so-and-so did, it is wrong. We were there in the Indo-Pacific. We were sailing long before many other parts of the world knew about this. So maritime is in your DNA. And that institutional memory, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very important. And how does this come to play? You know, 20 years ago, the Indian Navy's Western Fleet was operating in North Arabian Sea, or North Indian Ocean as we call it. And there they met the navy of another foreign country. I'll not take the name of that. So they exchanged greetings, and that navy asked the Indian Navy's admiral, "Hello, good morning, Indian Navy. How long have you been here?" So the Indian Navy's reply was, "We have been here before Jesus Christ. What about you?" Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call having an institutional memory, having a sense of destiny about you. As Captain Gopi rightly said, the golden days are ahead of us, the golden days for Indian Navy, the golden days for India, and golden day indeed for all of you. The golden age is ahead of us. I would make an argument that the Indian Navy in its 75 years of existence has been a navy that dares and cares in equal measure. You know, when I joined the Indian Navy in 1982, when I sort of decided, it was by accident, because my father was inspired by the school principal when he joined. It has been a wonderful accident, 36 years, but I hope that you would make more informed choices, perhaps after today's talk, in knowing what the Navy does. It brings you It brings you very, very close to operation. It brings you very close to technology. It's the real word. There is no working on computers. It's the real word of machinery, missiles, air conditioning, propulsion, weapons, and you'll get thrilled by that. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity of presenting the Indian Navy before you. Jai Hind, thank you, Shamno Varuna.
A sincere thank you to Commodore Dr. Srikanth B. Kesno for an exceptional presentation. Your experience and thought-striking lessons have challenged our perspectives and imagination. I assume this TEDx Youth event was an inspiring and motivating. From adventurous flights to an enthusiastic young orator, and at last a final touch from an exceptional Navy veteran, going through their valuable insights, we have come to an end of this event. Thank you for being part of this captivating journey, taking all your inspiration deeply within you. I, Kirit Karthik, host, Youth TEDx Sainik School Bijapur, signing off. Thank you.